Prologue, M.A.I.A, Manufacturing Artificial Intelligence Agency, production floor. Tom pinched the clear chip and brought it to the light. Squinting through his glasses, he read the number out loud and scribbled down the digits. Okay. Tom pressed his thumb to the fingerprint scanner. A tray slid out from the tablet, and he placed the nanochip into it. A hologram keyboard beamed out from the bottom of the tablet. He hovered his hands over the traditional keyboard next to it. His fingers pitter-pattered on the keys and found the boy's sperm donor's profile and social security numbers. Although useless for anything else, it was effective serialization. He poked at the screen and swiped. The digital outline of a chip swiveled around in a full 360-degree motion. He cracked his fingers. Infantry, good to switch it up. I've been programming female chips all morning. Basic skills, yada yada. All right, got that and that. His fingers banged on the keys. His eyes scrolled down the line. All the basic math skills, science, logic, everything you could learn in years of high school and college decades before, now completed in a programmer's ill attempt at milking an hour. He checked off the basic programming for syncing to the M.A.I.A monitors, much like the flat-screen computer that overlooked the White Room. Okay, got program 1984, just military programming left. Binary code filled the lower half of the screen, and the upper half of the screen had a series of equations and boxes. He loaded in basic military logic for an infantryman, thousands of years of military strategy crammed into one upload. Another drone for M.A.I.A. He'll be counting his kills soon enough, Tom said to himself. Tom pressed the finger pad, and the tray slid out. He placed the chip in and checked off the social security number as completed. One more for the day. Tom's shoulders twitched as the door to the lab slid open. Talking to yourself isn't normal down here. It's part of the wear and tear on the human mind from being isolated. The doors slid shut behind Albert. Tom cut a side look at Albert. Pompous pain in my ass, he thought. Tom turned his back to Albert, pinched the clear chip, and held it up to the light. He squinted to read the next social security number to program. You know, they have surgery for vision. It doesn't hurt, and you'll see better than your own eyes that you were born with. You might want to try it. Al placed the cup of hot coffee between Tom's bicep and rib cage, and then pressed Tom's arm against it to hold the coffee in place. Why do you have to be such an asshole? It's in my nature, Al replied with a smirk. Al, destruction of M.A.I.A property is a serious offense. If I drop this chip in the coffee or drop this coffee on the floor or within this sealed room, that you deliberately with malice tucked under my arm, I will pull their surveillance video and rat you out. They will take a loss of this chip out of your pay for sure. What a little whiner, Al spat as he removed the coffee cup, and he placed it safely on a freestanding tray with cup holders. Tom placed the chip onto the tray and opened the donor's profile. He reached for his coffee and sipped it. I brought you coffee because I was afraid you were going to fall asleep on the job. Never, Tom replied without looking at him. You should owe me at least a week's pay for that sludge you make me retrieve for you. You do realize I'm smart enough to do your job. They didn't hire you for that. You're my assistant, Tom said. You're here to help me. I'm not a glorified gopher. No matter how small, everyone makes a contribution to the cause, Tom said, moving his eyes between the keyboard and the screen. Al said, one day, I'm gonna be the one in charge. I'll outlast all of you. Tom stopped and looked at Al. You do have an active imagination. I need you to imagine yourself going through those files I sent you. Separate the cadets from the medics. I will be starting a new batch of cadets, and you haven't prepared the list for me. He tasted the coffee and grimaced. This coffee is getting worse by the day, Tom said. I hear they're running out of real coffee supplies. Everyone will be on coffee and coffee cubes. I can't survive on those rations, Tom said. This is all I need to make it through the day. Al nibbled on a brown cube. Tom said, Al, I'm 60 years old. It's nothing but a bitter candy bar. Al snickered, held his ration, and inspected it. Ah, candy bar. When's the last time you had a candy bar? This doesn't taste like anything. It does give you half a day's nutrition, carbs, vitamins in less than 30 seconds. I'm around the same age as you, Tom. I always wondered why you're so full of piss and vinegar. You're cranky because you haven't eaten over 10 years. When I become supreme reader, I'll have them create gourmet flavors like lasagna. Supreme reader? You expect to be supreme reader? Tom laughed. Yes, I'm just as smart as any of you. Why are you staring at me like that? Tom said, I'm trying to figure out who you are going to blackmail to get that position. Al snapped. I have the brains for that. When there's a will, there's a way. He shot. Tom sneered. Right now, I need you to find your way through the folders and get me that new cadet list. Tom inserted the chip into the tray and focused his eyes on the serial number. That serial number was the social security number of the sperm donor. It was the number issued at birth, a number that promised life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. People used to strive to receive a social security number, to be considered part of the greatest nation in the world's history has ever known. There was a time when that number sealed one's identity as an American citizen. As Tom's eyes scanned the serial number, his stomach twisted, and its contents swished around like it was on a slow-motion ship. He read the serial number again on the vial to make sure. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen it. The blood drained from his hands, his face heated, but his brain froze. You all right? Al's neck craned forward. Tom looked down at his watch, a Rolex his father gave him on the last day of his dad's life. When he received it, the diamond for the 5 had been missing for years. Before going to M.A.I.A, he never thought of replacing the diamond. Instead, he made a private pact with his father to use that time to think of him. Tom never planned anything for 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. because that time of day was given to memories of being with his father. Tom's work and breakdown of life above ground didn't permit Tom to marry or have kids. The title of father had eluded him until now. He wiped his eyes and looked at the serial number again. He looked down at his EED. His pulse and his heartbeats per second were elevated. Al, can you read this number for me? My eyes are getting tired. It's the end of a long day. Al confirmed the number. The chip trapped in a M.A.I.A soldier would technically belong to his child from a sperm donation of the past. His child would be with the M.A.I.A army. He fluttered through the documents, and that belonged to the chip. His child would be trained to be a sniper. Tom thought about all the files for a sniper, all the advanced math that had to be done on the fly to make a shot from nearly 2 miles away. Tom, are you sure you're feeling well? The coffee is upsetting my stomach. Tom's fingers spread across the keyboard. I just have this last chip to program to meet my quota for the day, and I really want to get out of here. Should just switch to ration strips. Al turned around in his glass cubicle, which faced the opposite direction. Tom scanned through the programs, checked anything he thought might be necessary for the extreme success of a young sniper. His throat ached from the strain of his emotions. The sniper's list seemed extensive. Not so extensive it might be put aside for audit, but did the sniper really need to understand 4 languages? His fingers paused. He read the last program. The flat screen overlooked their hologram cockpit. He stared down at the tray, only large enough to hold a day's quotas of programmable mind chips. A blue wave flowed across the screen. Were they watching him? If he had one of these chips in his head, could they really read his mind or control what he knew or thought he knew? He stared down at the keys. This was the first time he ever questioned program number 19-84, the vanishing sequence, the ability for M.A.I.A, the quantum supercomputer, to dictate what someone knows. Tom stared at the protocol and then at the monitor, back at the protocol, and then at the little chip that would be put in his son's head. Minds are not meant for controlling, he thought. He typed, delete 19-84. Do not allow access from the vanishing sequence.